All right, all right. Hello, everybody. Starting to see people come on in. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is that you're coming in from. Welcome to today's collaborative mentoring webinar series webinar on Beyond Stereotypes, Defying the Lie of Who Gets to Be Well. Grateful that you're all here. As you're coming in, feel free to drop in your name, where you're calling in from, and then also our little fun fact of the day. What is your favorite scent? Like, what is your favorite candle scent? Or like, do you like the smell of freshly cut lawns? Or do you like the smell of, mine is a little weird. I feel like my favorite scent is the smell of my childhood basement. It's like a little musty old, like there was just a bunch of stuff down there. But yeah, that's my favorite scent. Drop yours in the chat with your name and where you're calling in from as we give folks another couple minutes to settle in. But as folks are just joining in now, again, big welcome. Thanks for being here. Awesome. Starting to see some folks. Favorite scent, vanilla. All right. From Washington, Kentucky, lavender. Hope everybody's staying cool. I know there's a really intense heat wave going across the whole country. So hope you're all staying cool, staying safe. Awesome. All right, here we go. We got Portland. Demetrius' favorite is lemon. Perfect. Oh, I got a couple sandalwoods from Fatima and Shauna. Hopefully I'm pronouncing those names right, Shanna. More vanilla, lilac, Brooke from Fort Wayne, lilac. Okay, awesome. For those who are just joining, we're just giving folks another minute or two to settle on in, but welcome to today's collaborative mentoring webinar series, Beyond Stereotypes, Defying the Lie of Who Gets to Be Well. We'll get started in just a minute, but as you're seeing in the chat, drop your name, location. What is your favorite scent? You can think of it as, again, a candle or just otherwise. Rain, baking, cookies. I think those are probably my top three as well, Mary. Awesome. So good to see everybody's names here. Thanks for being here. All right, all right. Keep doing that. Keep using the chat. Again, also reminder to click the three little dots to make sure that your messages are going to everybody and not just the hosts and panelists, unless you'd like it to just go to the hosts and panelists. But again, thank you all for being here. And we can jump right on in now. All right. So you're already using one of these, so you're doing a great job so far in terms of engagement, but there are a couple features of how you can talk with us, interact with us today. One is using the chat box. So again, continue to introduce yourself, respond to what the presenters are saying, share resources with one another, share your own ideas. The Q&A box, you'll also see that on that toolbar, is to ask any questions that you have. So please put all questions there so that at the end, when we have some time for an audience Q&A, they'll all be compiled in one place. You can also upvote any questions that you particularly like or definitely want to see answered. This webinar is being recorded, and that will be sent out next week along with the slides, any other resources that we talk about. So you don't have to worry about taking too copious of notes, but all the stuff will be shared out after this. Obviously, the captions are available both through the toolbar, and they should already be on at the bottom of the screen. And I think, yes, next for agenda. So we're already doing the welcoming and introductions. And then next I have a few polls actually based off of the conversation that we're going to be having today to get to know you all a little bit better, get to know the level of knowledge and experience that you're coming into this conversation with before one of our panelists leads a centering exercise before we jump into the meat of today's webinar, which is the panel discussion. Then we'll get into a few next steps, so practical next steps that you all can take after this webinar to implement these learnings into your life, your work, whatever it is, before closing out both with a meditation along with the audience Q&A and other resources. So at this point, I will launch the polls. So let's see. The first one is around workplace priorities. So since this is a conversation around wellness and especially wellness in the workplace and how that shows up, this is one of our first questions for you all. How much do you feel your workplace prioritizes wellness in its programming, policies, and culture? You should see something pop up on your screen now. And I'll give you all another 20 seconds or so to think about that. Thanks. I'm still seeing folks dropping in, coming on in. Welcome, welcome. All right, I'll give another 10 seconds to answer this poll. Get your answers in if you haven't already. Okay. Ending the poll now. And then sharing results with you all. So you should be able to see these as well. I'm really glad that almost no one said not at all. So that's a good thing that most of our workplaces are prioritizing it, at least somewhat, but hopefully at the end of this call, you'll have some ideas both in your own practice, but also things that you could share with your coworkers or whoever to move it up towards that a lot section. So thanks for answering that first one. Stop sharing that poll. Our next poll is a little more specific around the kind of, I guess, topic that we're going to be talking about today around the intersection of race and wellness and just getting a sense of where everybody's knowledge level is at. So again, you'll see another poll pop up on your screen. What is your knowledge level around the intersection of race and wellness? And again, everybody is welcome here, no matter what your knowledge level is. We appreciate you being here. This is really just to get a sense of guiding our discussion today of who's in the room with us. So whether you're a beginner, you're an expert or intermediate, whatever it is, you definitely should still feel free to share your ideas and responses in the chat as everybody here's thoughts are valid. So another 5 seconds or so to get your answers in for that one. Ending the poll now. Okay, sharing results. So again, it looks like most of us fall within the beginner level basics category and or the intermediate category. So that's really good to know for our panelists, just to kind of know where we might need to define some things or talk a little bit more in depth about some things versus others. So again, thank you. And one last poll. We were talking last week about what we wanted for these polls. And especially since we all wear many hats, we're all working with so many people. Our last poll is kind of now around the people that you work with. So let's see. That one not watch. Oh, I gotta stop sharing that one first. Perfect. One more poll. And so now this is the knowledge level of the folks that you work with. So again, we kind of kept it broad in terms of what that means, whether you're co-workers, the mentors that you work with, the matches as a whole, the mentors and mentees. What is their knowledge level around these topics? Five seconds or so more, and then we'll move on. Awesome. Share the results. Pretty similar here. So again, seems like things are pretty much in alignment, but hopefully some of these things that you're learning about, you can translate and share with the folks that you're working with. All right, so stop sharing that. And now I'm very, very excited to introduce our facilitator for today's conversation. Yes, Dr. Nishan Battle. Nishan is the author of Black Girlhood, Punishment and Resistance, Reimagining Justice for Black Girls in Virginia. She wears many hats. She's also an associate professor at Virginia State University. She's a self-care coach, wellness consultant, certified yoga teacher, and somatic healing practitioner. She's also on the board of directors for a youth-serving nonprofit called Pretty Purpose. You might remember them from last month's webinar. Bianca Murick was here facilitating that webinar. And then is a consultant for Mentor Virginia, one of Mentor National's affiliates across the country. So I'll pass it over to Dr. Nishan Battle.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Jake. And so now I am going to introduce our panelists for today. So first we have Charmaine Stringfield, and Charmaine is a registered yoga teacher. She has had an off and on relationship with yoga during her college years before she joined the Peace Corps. She returned after the okay, I'm sorry about that. When the organization had a global shutdown due to the pandemic, she was devastated about her return to the United States in the height of a pandemic. And so being dropped into uncertain times, she turned to a personal practice of yoga. And after moving to Richmond, began to be involved with Bare Soul Yoga, where she also received a certified 200-hour yoga certification. The mindfulness, self-care, and restorative aspects highlighted in the fellowship contributes to why her current focus is leading meditation while also continuing a personal practice of Hatha yoga. Kiran is the Director of Community Engagement and Operations at Bare Soul Yoga and Wellness, and that is in Richmond, Virginia. In this role, she dedicates her expertise to fostering a nurturing community through mindful practices and wellness initiatives. And beyond her responsibilities at Bare Soul, she is also actively engaged in a project management for the Drums No Guns organization, which she also led a wonderful community wellness event yesterday, Juneteenth, at Abner Clay Park with Drums No Guns. And that was a wonderful event for the community. Furthering her commitment to holistic health, she is also a co-lead teacher and is a certified yoga instructor 500 hour. She's also a trained mindful instructor. She has a deep passion for restorative practices in her role as a restorative circle keeper, where she facilitates dialogues designed to mend and strengthen community ties. Her latest venture is leading the Beyond the Stem Floral Therapy Community Freelance Project, where she serves as the integrative healing artist and curator. This project is dedicated to providing healing-centered engagement through nature-based experiences. At Beyond the Stem, we utilize floral wisdom not only to address individual ailment, but also to confront the persisting effects of ancestral trauma, particularly among historically injustice-impacted groups. Their goal is to support Black and Indigenous individuals who are navigating both historical and present-day traumas through transformative, nature-infused therapeutic interventions. And so now I am going to pass the mic or introduce Kiran, who will lead us in a centering exercise.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Ashan. I really appreciate it. Hello, everyone, again. My name is Kiran Bhagat, and I am happy to be here. It's a delight to now lead you through a brief, what we call a mindful moment. And what this does is just to help sort of set a grounded and receptive tone for our discussion today. Mindfulness is a powerful practice that allows us to be fully present in the moment, fostering a sense of calm and focus. So this practice can help us approach our conversation with a sense of clarity, a sense of openness, and perhaps a deeper sense of connection, not only to ourselves, but also perhaps maybe the communities that we show up in the workplace, and etc. So let's all just take a moment to close our eyes if that feels supportive for you, if it feels safe. All of this is just simply an invitation to be present. Finding a supportive way to be in your body, sitting comfortably. You might bring a sense of awareness to the posture of our physical body. Placing your feet flat on the ground and resting your hands gently on your lap. Now let's focus on our breath, this very element that pulls us back into our purpose every day. There's no need to change it in any particular way, but just noticing the breath, this element that we rarely think about that keeps us alive. Breathing in deeply through your nose, feeling the air fill your lungs. And hold it for just a moment as you fill up the body. And then exhale slowly through the mouth with a audible sigh or sound, letting go of any tension or stress that we may be holding on to or have already taken on from the day. Let's repeat this 3 times. So we call this a letting go breath, or just simply a big sigh. Breathing in deeply through the nose, feeling the air fill your lungs. You might notice the expansion, holding it for just a moment. And then exhale slowly through the mouth, letting go of any tension or stress. Repeating this action once more at your own pace. Just taking in this experience, feeling the air fill your lungs, holding it for a moment. And as you exhale through the mouth, let go with an audible sigh or whatever natural sound leaves the body. Feeling, taking in or sinking into a feeling of calm. And I'd like you to use your imagination. We'll use the imagination to find a place where you feel completely at peace. Envisioning this, bringing this into your mind's eye, a place where you feel completely at peace and safe. This can be a real location you visited before or a place from your imagination. And place yourself there, picture yourself there now. Try to see if you can focus on the details of this place. What do you see around you? What colors and shapes are present? What sounds can you hear? Maybe there's a gentle rustling of leaves or a soothing sound of water. What do you feel? Perhaps there's a gentle breeze against your skin or the warmth of the sun. And just simply allow yourself to fully be immersed in this peaceful environment. And as you visualize this place, let any stress or worry melt away. Anything that you may be holding on to, allow it to leave. Feel a sense of deep relaxation and safety envelop you. Most importantly, know that you can return to this place of peace and calm, of serenity, of perhaps freedom, whenever you need to throughout our session and beyond. Take one more deep breath in and out. Slowly blinking your eyes open when you feel complete, when you feel ready. There's an invitation to carry this sense of calm and centeredness with you as we begin our discussion. And I thank you for sharing this moment with me, sharing this mindful moment. I hope it helps us all connect more deeply and to engage more fully in this important conversation that lies ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Kiran. That was wonderful. Had to wake myself up a bit because the island I was on, I was pretty relaxed. So thank you again for that wonderful visualization and meditation. Yes, yes. I see people in the chat are saying that they loved it. And so now we are going to go into the panel discussion. So either one of you can begin and answer the question. Can you discuss how historical narratives of racial superiority and inferiority have impacted the mental and physical health of communities today?
I'll go.
Okay.
So I think, I'm going to speak from my experience and like what I have been exposed to, as well as how I show up in the work that I do in addressing systemic racism and racial harm. So I mean, historical narratives of racial superiority and inferiority have led to systemic racism, which has deeply affected the psychology or the mental and physical health of marginalized communities. And the legacy of these narratives, they manifest, they manifest in chronic stress, mental health issues, limited access to healthcare, and healing practices, such as the mindful moment, such as mindfulness, yoga, restorative circles, nature-based experiences, which I myself utilize as tools in the roles that I show up in at Bare Soul Wellness and the Well Collective and Drums No Guns organization are very crucial and integral tools to help address these narratives that are so deeply rooted within all of us. And these practices help to foster that sense of awareness, foster this sense of community support, emotional resilience, helping to address the psychological wounds afflicted by these injustices, afflicted by these narratives, these stereotypes.
Absolutely. And thank you. I was going to follow up with what healing practices can help address these deep-seated issues. And so thank you for providing a few healing practices to address that. Charmaine, would you like to answer this question? And I'll ask it again. Can you discuss how historical narratives of racial superiority and inferiority have impacted the mental and physical health of communities today, and what healing practices can help address these deep-seated issues?
Yes, thank you, Nishan, for this question, and Kiran for that beautiful centering practice. I too was calling myself back in. But addressing the question, I think racial superiority is an issue that impacts us all. I think that it's embedded in our social fabric and it shows up in everyday interactions. So yesterday, for example, was Juneteenth, the day to observe a pivotal moment in American history, marking the, almost 200 years ago in 1865, the day that was set forth where every slave or a person that was held slave or was enslaved was set free in 1865. So that was just one of many hurdles that was, that had to be come through. One of the first, you can say, as far as landing here in America. And then we met with segregation, then we met with Jim Crow laws, and then so on and so forth. And just for an example of the impact there, one of the Jim Crow laws was about people not showing affection, Black people not showing affection in public. And so you think, how can that impact their mental and emotional, spirit, their health as well? And as that well-known book is out there, The Body Keeps the Score, right? So then that also goes to the physical. And physical issues that have come up that are quite prevalent in Black and Indigenous and people of color communities is, diabetes and definitely mental health disparities, anxiety, depression, PTSD, all those things. But moving forward to speak to the healing arts, helping towards healing from those practices, I myself go for yoga. And of those who know yoga beyond the physical movement aspect that we see in everyday life, there are some that know it more deeply and more expansively from where its roots are from in India, and take that as a commitment to dismantling barriers that communities are confined to in cyclical patterns like racism. Yoga and mindfulness can help everyone to unburden hostile beliefs and work towards unity and liberation through the different practices. And there are guidelines as well as things that are connecting to the moral aspect of yoga and different practices within it.
Thank you so much for that. Can you repeat the name of that book so that Jake can put it in the chat?
Sure, The Body Keeps the Score.
Okay, The Body Keeps the Score. Thank you for that. Okay, so just really quick for the audience, if you can drop a simple yes or no in the chat. Do you have a current self-care practice? Do you have a current self-care practice? Okay, oh, a lot of yeses. Oh, okay, a lot of yeses. Not really, yes, yes. Okay, this is really good. Try to, I understand, sort of. That's real good. All righty, thank you. So that will lead into my next question. How can individuals working in any mentorship capacity create and sustain their own wellness plan? This is for both of you, but either one of you can go
Sure.
first.
I'll take the question.
Okay.
So in the fellowship that I was a part of, Mindful Life Community Fellowship, what we did was we had this social care, this self-care plan. We took aspects of mind, body, spirit. We thought of the people who are our support system and different elements in that. Take these different circles, these squares, and you fill in all of the things that you have access to and all the things you want to access. And then you tie into that together action steps. What do I need today that I can do today for the mind, for the body, for the spirit? What can I work towards? What are the things that I can seek to deepen that are already in practice? So that's some of the ways you can incorporate a wellness plan. You can also, go to heal coaches, wellness coaches. You can do therapeutic horticulture. Plenty of different options that you incorporate in a wellness plan.
Kiran?
Yeah, all of those. Oh, okay.
I thought you just needed me to repeat the question. If you remember, that's fine. Okay, yes. How can individuals working in any mentorship capacity, like director, actual mentor, program coordinator, etc., how can they create and sustain their own wellness plan?
Well, I think first and foremost, so we have this saying that we say in community at the Well Collective or Bare Soul is that if myself isn't well, if I'm not well, then my community isn't well. So I think the most important thing is just acknowledging, like Charmaine was saying, is like needs. What do I need? Like even if it's the basic needs, water, food, um, and creating that sense of awareness, for yourself as a plan for everyday life, moving through and navigating through your roles and life like that. So like, what are you doing to nourish yourself? I think most importantly, setting boundaries and making wellness a priority. Because a lot of times, like in the roles that we are showing up in through mentorship and caretaking, like that, that requires a lot of our capacity to show up for, for others. So there has to be that boundary that is set to prioritize well-being for yourself, and making you the beneficiary of the wellness practice that you're wanting to implement. And it doesn't even have to be that deep. It can just simply be like, did I check in with my breath today? This very element that has able me to contribute to, my role as a mentor. It can be as simple as staying hydrated. Am I nurturing myself with these different elements? Did I go outside today and connect to nature? And that can just simply be, I'm tuning into or just observing your environment. And everybody's wellness plan is going to look different. I think it's important to expose ourselves to the things that bring us joy. I think joy pours into our overall well-being, but prioritizing your joy and like really like your joy. It's and when I truly empower like you being the beneficiary of your wellness, you taking agency of your overall well-being. Because it is true, if I am not well, then how can, the communities that I show up for be well too?
Thank you so much for that. So oftentimes what I hear, especially with people who have multiple responsibilities and things on their plate, they're just like, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. And so what would you say to that for a person that says, I don't have the time? I have lots of kids, or I have a child, I have dogs, I have animals, and I got to take them here or there. And then I have to work, then I have to cook. By the time I get home, I'm exhausted. There's no time for me, self-care. And some people might just be self-care as if I can get 5 minutes of sleep. So what would you say to people who say, it's difficult for me to carve out time?
I mean, prioritizing ourselves is difficult because again, the roles that we show up in, it's like this is the act of love, of, my freedom is bound up within my neighbor's freedom. This is my purpose, my mission. I really don't have time to take care of myself. Like that is it's true. But I think taking, calling in this mindset, wellness is a practice. So it's like, don't beat yourself up if like, oh, I didn't hydrate myself today, or I didn't bring awareness to my breath. It's like, where can I start? There's this activity that I that I oftentimes do with youth. It's called like what's on my plate. So, you actually have, you have a plate and you write like all the things that's on your plate. And it's like, you know, from the things that's on my plate, what can I focus on? Or, what can I do to make sure that I'm well so that I am able to engage in all of these things that are on my plate. Do I need to take some things off of my plate? And that's okay too. It's like we don't have to be committed to doing all the things. Um, yeah,
Absolutely.
I
I
mean, I
thank you
know
for that.
like I hear it all the time. Like, I don't have time to do that. This is just an extra thing. And it doesn't really have to be an extra thing. Like, these things can be integrated into our everyday life, from brushing our teeth, from even when you first wake up. What is integral for me is before I step foot to earth, when I open my eyes, it's like a simple thank you or just checking in with myself. Um, yeah, it's simple as that. Taking a stretch. It doesn't. I truly say like it really doesn't have to be that deep. You don't have to be so analytical, about it. It can just simply be when I wake up, I'm going to commit to taking a deep breath for however many months. Like that's my commitment. And that is going to pour into, this discipline, into this development of starting my wellness journey, starting like, this is the one thing that I can do. It's like, what can I do? Instead of approaching it like, what can I do? Or what I don't have time for.
I
But
love it.
how are you all to have time for self-care?
Yes, yes. A quick gratitude list with bullet points at the end of each day. Oh, that is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yes, 1 minute listing the things that you're grateful for that day and how it can bring you joy. Thanks for that. Charmaine, same question. How can individuals working in any mentorship capacity create and sustain their own wellness plan?
Yeah, I was going to I saw you, I think you all saw me grab. I have this affirmations jar that and a little sticker with plants. That's the one thing that I've prepared ahead of time that I will be able to have access. I just go in and anytime I need an affirmation, I pick it out. And these can be affirmations you tailor to yourself. These can be affirmations that you pick up from online anywhere that you've seen or anything that resonates with you personally. The way that I like to create affirmations is thinking about the things that I have a little bit of struggle with and taking that and reframing the thought to make it empowering and help me go throughout, my day or throughout the week. But just like Kiran was saying, you can always access your breath. And sometimes I like to practice while I'm driving breath work. So if you're in traffic, it's the perfect time for you to access your breath and go through some breathing exercises. You can do something such as alternate nostril breathing. So you're covering one nostril and breathing at a time. You can just take anything of your awareness, make it a mindful moment. Be intentional about the space that you're in, and you make that moment yours. And that helps to bring yourself into a centered state. That way you're not as flustered. So if you're finding yourself in a flustered moment, I'd say that's the time. If you say you don't have time, but you catch yourself in a flustered moment, that is that moment. You take a break, you pause, you walk away, you get some fresh air in that moment. You take a cleansing breath, or you just you place a hand somewhere that's supportive to you. Sometimes the heart, feeling the pulse on your palm, feeling where the breath is moving in the body. Those are all things that can be accessible to you when you don't have when you don't have time.
Yes, yes. Thank you all for your participation
I
in the
just
chat,
want to, I
Kiran.
see two comments in the chat. I see, so to speak to Ralph Sims, they just had a thought. People with time don't have money, and people with money ain't got time. And that's a true statement. And and we will probably address this in our discussion. But what resonates with me is in this work that I'm showing up in, and like the demographics I'm committed to this work, is that I recognize that wellness oftentimes isn't accessible and available to everybody. So that's just a thought that I had just in commenting on Ralph's thought. And then Danielle, they wrote, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to take time for your illness. And this is true. Like, these practices are preventative practices. So just the simple breath, like our breath is a tool, it's a mechanism for healing. It's a mechanism for releasing tension. It's a mechanism. Our in-breath is our inspiration. Our out-breath is to expire and let go of like those, those things that we are working through and are holding on to. But that statement right there, yeah, like these are preventative anecdotes.
Absolutely,
It's like,
absolutely.
don't wait until, I don't know, your arm is falling off and be like, oh, I'm gonna try to, do some wellness, do some mindfulness, for a balm, a soothing balm. And
Yes.
it is sometimes easier said than done, but that's why it's a practice.
Okay. We did have a question. I wasn't too clear about the question, but if you all understand it, please feel free to answer. Could you provide an example of a wellness-related boundary to implement in the workplace?
Charmaine, you got any thoughts on that? Something for me that's well, I don't know like the context, but it's very fortunate that I get to show up every day in my role in a space that empowers wellness. And something that we value and that we sort of create is we have community agreements. And the community agreements, they are agreements and values that hold community members, that hold employees, our team accountable. And I think that creating agreements is a way that wellness boundaries can be fostered and can be implemented and practiced. And
Okay.
I mean, we really stand on like our community agreements.
I do see some examples that now I'm starting to understand it a little bit more. Not working late, not working after your hours, limiting yourself to checking your emails twice per day. I remember a wellness boundary when I first started teaching. I was checking emails and responding way past midnight. And I do remember that it reached a year where I was like, nope, after this time, I'm not answering any more emails. Nothing is going to change. There is nothing actually that can even be done after 5 p.m. So I will answer it when I can. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the next question. In what ways does racial inequality manifest in the wellness industry today? And what steps can we take to ensure equitable access to wellness resources for all racial groups and all intersectional, not just racial groups, but all intersectional identities?
When you think about racial inequality in the wellness industry, picture a well-known business or popular healing modality, and who do you see advertised in those spaces? Who can you picture walking into that building? Massage parlors, yoga studios, meditation centers, or even places where you see acupuncturists or chiropractors. You can easily find those in gentrified areas, right? Of course. And if you look in lower income areas, or places where, there are more marginalized groups, racially or otherwise, you're not going to see that being accessed as easily. When you go on access media, maybe online or maybe in print with magazines or whatnot, you're going to see probably a white individual on the cover of the magazine, just to be, very honest and true, unless it's a time of the year where we're highlighting BIPOC individuals, like Black History Month. Of course, you're going to see them then, but what about maybe later on in the year? Maybe not so much. It's not a time where you're intentionally picking them out. And sadly, it's come to in groups of mine where I hear people say, that's white people stuff, because they're not seeing themselves in these spaces, receiving these healing modalities, going to massage parlors. There was even mental health therapy. People don't necessarily see that as for them if it's not being depicted in the images that we're seeing, if it's not being discussed in the communities that we are in. So it's just something you want to think. So making it more accessible would be, what wellness offerings are in the area, or where can we retrieve these virtually? This is a lot of, you know, we're in 2024. You can access things on YouTube, you can access things, you just a quick Google search away or whatever search engine that you choose. And you can have that and access it for the people that you serve, and you can have it for yourself as well. I know that my family could have benefited from these resources being so readily available at least online. And if you have internet access, that's helpful to get you one step closer to getting that wellness access.
Okay. Kiran, do you need me to repeat the question or?
No.
Okay.
It's so I think that racial inequality in the wellness industry, how it manifests, and which I heard Shami mention, is we can see that it manifests through disparities in access to wellness services. A big one, representation. So it's like, you know, do you see yourself in these spaces within the industry, and the affordability of these holistic or complementary practices. And I mean, to ensure equitable access, I think we need to, you know, create more, or just see more spaces being created as inclusive wellness spaces, providing accessible pricing or affordability. But even along those lines of accessible pricing and representation within the industry, you know, this is also for like the wellness owner, the Black woman wellness owner, or the you know, the Black indigenous wellness owner, who are less likely to be represented within these industries. So making these offerings not only accessible and affordable for the communities in which we're wanting these offerings to be available to, but making sure that it's also sustainable for the for the business as well. And actively working to decolonize wellness practices by recognizing and integrating traditional healing methods from diverse cultures. You know, my work, or what I am inspired to do within my work with Beyond the STEM, is to focus on providing like these nature-based therapeutic interventions for Black and Indigenous communities, to help address these disparities directly.
Okay. Charmaine?
Yeah,
Oh.
I can add that, like Kiran mentioned about pricing. So we're both involved with Bare Soul Yoga, and here in Richmond, a lot of other wellness organizations or individuals, entrepreneurs, will offer pay what you can. She mentioned the sliding scale. But what's unique, I find, that I don't see as much in other organizations, is that we don't turn people away still. So there's a form of flexibility. Like, this is the scale, but maybe you can give an offering, and in kind, you know, I exchange this service and you have this to offer to me as well, like a barter. Or it can be an offering, like maybe you don't have $15 to spend on this service, or $50, but you have a gift card or to somewhere else. I mean, I got a gift card from Starbucks. I don't go to Starbucks. I could easily share that instead. That's just one example. But I would say, as far as, you know, other points of access, if you are yourself become aware, or if your organization becomes aware of wellness and healing arts modalities that are in the area, notice who who's being distributed to, and it's seeing if you can expand where those you know, flyers or info brochures are being distributed. And if you can expand that, then you're helping to make it more accessible to other people, and especially using, you know, word of mouth, actually explaining to them, okay, if this image maybe doesn't depict you, don't let that dissuade you from coming. Let it be known that this is for you as well. This is for everyone. And that's something that if it's not addressed on the flyer that you are sharing, is being communicated to you, to the person you're speaking to verbally.
Thank you both for that. Now, also, I would like to ask for examples of how integrative healing arts can be used as tools for social justice and racial healing.
I mean, I think integrative healing arts are, I mean, just simply healing practices. I mean, one, they have been an integral tool within my upbringing, and I think that within my upbringing, in the way that I am able to approach or navigate. Just these different spaces in the body that I'm showing up in. So I mean, the healing arts practices and tools have been and can be a powerful tool for social justice and racial healing by creating spaces for individuals to process trauma, by creating spaces for our youth to process trauma and really talk it out, and to reconnect with their cultural heritage, and build community resilience. For example, showing up in the roles that I show up in, with Bare Soul and the Well Collective, um, and Drums No Guns, using restorative circle process, restorative base processes, healing centered engagement, using artfulness to address gun violence, and even in this venture of Beyond the Stem project, I'm using floral wisdom to help individuals address ancestral trauma, historical trauma, violence, and through creating these different experiences, creating these spaces that are invitational spaces where folks can show up to be empowered, to be brave, to use their voices, um, you know, allows the participants experience personal and collective healing. And these practices help to, dismantle the internalized oppression, and foster a sense of empowerment, and especially a sense of belonging. Because I believe we all want to feel like we belong to something. We belong in something, a part of. So I think, this work definitely helps to empower um, that sense, and as a tool for, social justice and racial healing.
Okay. Charmaine, same question. How can integrative healing arts be used as tools for social justice and racial healing? And if you can provide some examples.
I would echo everything that Kiran has said, but as well, healing arts is holistic, right? It focuses on the whole person. And most of the problem with racism is that people don't want to go deeper than skin level. And when you gather people in a group for group healing, you're taking people from diverse backgrounds, putting them in a place where you might not have normally seen them, and like not a way that they would have shown up in a public space. And you're able to dive into things differently, being intentional about conversation, and you can seek to know their heart because you're all seeking wellness together if it's a group setting. Like Kiran mentioned, restorative healing circles. Those circles are very powerful, and I've been involved with them myself, where we pose questions into the group. Everyone has a chance to speak on it. They have the right to pass as well, but we pass around, traditionally you would pass around a talking piece so that everyone has that opportunity to share and have words to be spoken on the topic. And you can engage in a patient intellectual discourse in a peaceful and non-judging environment, because the person who is facilitating that restorative healing circle is going to be holding the space. They're going to energetically be mindful of what's going on in conversation and be able to intervene if there needs to be intervention. But generally, the way that I've experienced it, there doesn't really need to be the intervention, because we're all there for a shared purpose. It's understood when you come together in healing spaces. I mentioned earlier about yoga and how people use that for dismantling issues. Within the 8 limbs, there are 8 limbs of yoga, I guess I can start to say, traditionally from India over 5,000 years ago. And the first 2 limbs of the framework of how you would live morally and peacefully, how you would coexist. And we have guidelines like something is known as brahmacharya, the right use of energy, which can be translated in this context as spending time channeling your energy on social justice and on racial healing. There's another guideline that's aparigraha, which is a non-greed. So not hoarding resources, being able to share resources, not taking more benefits than you need. If you're someone who's doing financially well enough, maybe you don't need to be accessing SNAP, or maybe you don't need to be accessing these other things that people typically who are in minorities, racial minorities, tend to be more impoverished and going to need those resources more than someone who's better off financially. Now, and then of course we also have saucha, which is meaning purity. We can pay attention to how our actions impact others and notice any impure thoughts that we have, any implicit bias that we have, and just think about ways in which that we can begin to change.
Thank you. I see more comments. A lot of organizations are doing great things. You have organizations that declares Fridays as sort of wellness days. I see this comment by Ralph that says there are times when more accurate history and wisdom will not be found in the school system, but it is found in human wisdom and community-based organizations. And speaking on, that particular comment, my next question would be, what role does community play in the healing process of individuals affected by racial trauma?
Sure, I can take that.
Okay.
To me, the answer is in the question, right? They commune. These communities gather. I lived in, when I was serving in the Peace Corps, I lived in a collectivistic culture for 2 years, and they didn't have guns. They didn't have, all these violent things going on. They had conversations. They shared meals. They danced together. When I walk past, because I would walk to work, when I walked from my house to the health center that I was serving at, people would wave and we'd stop in conversation. Sometimes it would make us late, but in that culture, it didn't matter if you were late, because the community is what mattered. You would share meals without an invitation. Oh, we're cooking right now. Do you want to come over? Yeah, they farmed together. They fed culture through storytelling, being very interpersonal. Even some people walk barefoot, but that's a story for another time. But they expressed their concerns for the people in charge of their villages, called them chiefs. Their communities thrive off of shared experiences. And if you don't know what's going on with another person, you're not going to find out. Closed mouths don't get fed. You're not going to find out just by looking at them and trying to make assumptions based off what your personal perspective is what's going on with them. The more we see and organize peaceful events together, it's going to encourage wellness and communication, and the stronger the community will be.
Yes, a reminder, we are actually in about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, we'll be opening up space for questions, Q&A. And so, yes, please begin to share your questions for the panelists in the Q&A box. So Kiran, the same question for you. What role does community play in the healing process of individuals affected by racial trauma?
Yeah, so just as much as the individual healing is, like our individual well-being is important, so is the collective well-being. And that collective well-being pours into our own individual healing. And before I answer the question, like something that is coming up for me is this. It's a universal saying. However, it's rooted in African in the African world view or roots. And this saying is Ubuntu, and Ubuntu means that I am because we are. And I think that has a deep connection and interconnectedness with how community, the role of community, how that role of just community, collective healing plays in this healing process. And I mean, community plays a crucial role um, in healing from racial trauma by providing a supportive network. Community is a network. It's me being able to communicate with my neighbor on my needs. It's me seeing my neighbor and my neighbor seeing me, and that validates experiences and fosters solidarity.
Mhm.
And healing arts, like as we've mentioned earlier, restorative circles and community yoga sessions help to create these shared experience that strengthen bonds and promote collective healing. And we're seeing that in real time right here in Richmond, Virginia, as we are empowered to um, you know t- to bring awareness to this work. And it's not anything that we've made up. Like, these are practices that have been um communal practices, have been integral for generations and generations in promoting like this collective healing. In my work as a restorative circle keeper, when facilitating these dialogues, I recognize that, they do help to mend and strengthen community ties. There's a deep connection to somebody that I've never even met. We might have similar experiences, however, it may come from different backgrounds. And this just, I see that, it does strengthen the community ties. It creates also an intergenerational connection too, because, our youth are not separate from the ancient wisdom, the elder wisdom, those who have come before us. And it's all about providing like these safe, brave, and liberated spaces for individuals to share our stories and to heal together.
Okay, I'll end out with this one last question for you both. Looking forward, how do you see the role of integrative healing arts helping to address racism that youth may face and how to promote wellness for all?
um I mean, the role of healing arts, so integrative healing arts, especially as it relates to youth, can be. I mean, we do a lot of creative expression work with our youth through drumming, through dancing, through just different art mediums. And I think this work will continue to evolve by becoming more inclusive and accessible for our youth to be involved in this work. But, also for, those who are pioneers and pillars, um, offering this these healing arts and integrating these diverse cultural practices and focusing on community based approaches. I recognize and am seeing in real time are helping to um, address and fight against racism, and promoting wellness for all. Because again, it comes back to just that statement that we use: if I'm not well, then my neighbor can't be well, my community can't be well. If the community isn't well, then the nation can't be well. If the nation isn't well, then the earth, the world, can't be well. So I envision initiatives like Drums No Guns initiative, and movement, the Well Collective movement, beyond the stems, expanding to reach broader audiences, demonstrating the power of these holistic practices to promote wellness and to continue to dismantle and abolish racism, with not only within ourselves, but speak to this dismantling within our communities. And integrative healing arts will play and has played an integral and crucial role in creating um, the healthy societies for all, in which, I hope that we all are working towards this type of goal, regardless of what role, we're showing up in our, in the spaces that we're showing up in.
Okay, Charmaine, did you have anything for that question? What role do you see integrative healing arts? How do you see that role being used to address the racism that youth may face?
And I wanted to uplift what I believe it's pronounced Watsana had mentioned in the chat. Art is a language spoken around the world, and that is very powerful. There's no country where there is no art, right? But as for in terms of the integrative healing arts, I'm seeing more and more diversity among practitioners and people utilizing healing arts for themselves, and the representation helps to address the race-related gaps. More people will discover the power and the pride of this work. And more generally speaking, we're rewiring the brain actually, and we're dropping our cortisol levels with when we access the breath, and when we take slower movements, and when we take time to heal ourselves. And that's the better people are going to be able to slow down and witness the problematic behaviors, the problematic habits that they themselves have and that others have. Another principle in yoga is self-study. And I think that is the best way to start beginning into the wellness world is noticing yourself and what is going on. What are the thoughts that are going on? Take an implicit bias test. I think it's Harvard University has it online. You can take an implicit bias test to see what's going on in your own mind that you might not be aware of. It makes space to pause and assess, and integrative healing arts makes people less reactionary and more loving. And that personal knowledge that you have is going to power to stop yourself and point out injustices that are witnessed externally as well as internally. And when we know better, we do better.
Thank you both so much. Jake, can you pull up the slides for next steps? Okay, all righty. So 3 next steps. Create a morning routine, practice meditation for 5 minutes daily, build a tribe of like-minded people who support you. Charmaine and Kiran, do you also have next steps within the context of what we've been discussing, race and wellness,
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Kiran.
So just to add to the steps that we're seeing on the screen, create a morning routine. So yeah, definitely commit to that self-care plan. Perhaps practice meditation for 5 minutes daily. Build a tribe of like-minded people who support you. I will also say, like, expose yourself to difficult conversations. Like, have the difficult conversations. Participate in community wellness events, community yoga. It's just building on, like, build a tribe of like-minded people who support your your initiatives. But also, it's also important to step into spaces that oftentimes you maybe feel discomfort, as discomfort is a tool for growth. But yeah, it's certainly exposing yourself to and being, willing to be open and step into spaces that you may not initially do on a daily basis.
Okay. Any steps that you may have for our audience, Charmaine?
Yes, I would say to familiarize yourself with a new healing art modality that is new to you. So maybe you don't know about acupuncture, maybe you don't know about Reiki, maybe you don't know about reflexology, or for myself, I'm looking into therapeutic horticulture because I love plants. I grew up with plants in my home. My grandmother would sing to the plants, talk to them, name them. That's one that, it's not controversial. They're plants, we live with them, we coexist with them, we need them. And I'd say seek out where that new healing arts modality is available, where it's accessible, whether it's online or in person, and share your healing experience once you've gone and done the thing, right, with your mentees or with people that you have in your field, so that the discussion is being had on that level. And be an example.
Okay, it is just checking time. It's 2:11. I want to get to a few of the questions that we have, and then also queuing up for our closing exercise. But before we do that, if you can go to the next slide, Jake, for resources, just in case anyone is interested, you can find information at baresoulyoga.com. Inner Work Center is another healing place out here as well. Humble Haven, and this is if you're in the Richmond, Virginia area, but Bare Soul Yoga also offers virtual offerings. And so that's a good way. If you're more interested in my work, Dr. Nishan Battle, Lady Rose Teas is also a place where you can purchase loose leaf customize teas for your wellness. Okay, all right, so now let's get into the Q&A. First question, what type of, and if we can keep the answers kind of brief because we're at 2:12 and we have quite a few questions and I want to get to as many as I can. What type of training or credentialing should facilitators pursue in order to facilitate restorative healing circles? Kiran, at one point, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, your dad, Dr. Ram Bhagat, has a training program. Is that correct? Anyone can answer this question.
So you can find trainings if you go to Drums No Guns organization. You can find those trainings on our website. I've taken a few trainings at Eastern Mennonite University through their Peace and Justice Center. They have some trauma-informed restorative justice trainings that can be taken as well. I will also say because trainings are they're not cheap. And of course, I've been fortunate to receive scholarships and things like that. You can also there's a site called Udemy. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure if there's restorative circle trainings on there, but there are trauma-informed trainings that can help with just developing this skill of relationship building. Because for me, I recognize holding space we say it's an art. It's the art of holding space. So you can look for trainings like trauma-informed trainings, life coaching, building that toolbox to be in good relationship, not only with yourself, but also with others. But Eastern Mennonite University and Drums No Guns organization.
Okay. Another question. What would you tell a young person? My mentee is 15, who is interested in wellness, meditation, etc. What advice would you give them as a youth wanting to start exploring these topics?
I would encourage them to know that it is for them, it is for everyone, and that I would also encourage them that they are in a privileged position to access it at such a young age, since a lot of us are coming into it middle-aged or later. And so I would just also, offer, if I were in the position, I would offer to support them in the way that I can, by, sending them a link, or offering, if it's okay with the parent, since this is a minor, to see in what way that you can support outside of that personally.
Yeah, I share those same sentiments, and we must empower, it's empowerment and exposure. So if they are, showing interest, hold them accountable. Like, if this is what you are interested in, these are some resources. Here's this class, or here's something that I think you might be interested in, and how this youth is perhaps maybe showing up in their physicality, in their body. Um, offer people who look like them, who are in the field, as well. So really, exposure and empowerment.
Okay. What do you think about the danger of structural racism being understood as limited to a personal wellness issue? And I think that is, we had that conversation previously, Kiran, when people dismiss other people as, oh, that's just, insert whatever person's name that is, without truly looking at a larger structural issue of issues that are going on. So it could be that person, and then months from now, it could be someone else. And so I do think, if I'm answering this question, I know that form of gaslighting can be really detrimental to your overall health and wellness. And so that is why it's really important to maintain your own, and create and sustain your own wellness practice, because you will have people who will not look at things that they've done, and somehow blame is on you, or, oh, you're being sensitive, or whatever the case might be. And so, in many cases, the system is designed the way that it's supposed to work. They know exactly what they're doing. And so that is why, I would say, again, to make sure that you are caring for yourself. But Charmaine and Kiran, what do you think about the danger of structural racism being understood as a personal wellness issue?
Um, I mean, it shouldn't really be. It should be understood as a we, because we're all affected by this historical harm. And I mean, I think it's dangerous to see this as a personal issue, because it will continue to perpetuate, like, that internal um that internal oppression. So as Nashawn was saying, like, it is important for um these integrative healing practices, or these mindful moments, or creating a self-care plan. Like, those are important. And I mean, to be honest, like, again, like, I have been fortunate and privileged to have been raised in a family that had this consciousness, and recognize, like, they're recognize that healing modalities, integrative healing arts practices, and even before, like, there was all this language around healing arts and things like that, it was just simply tapping into my creativity, drumming, dancing, yoga, out in nature, and all of these things have been impressed upon me, and I've been exposed to these things as tools to help navigate through, like, that the question that you're proposing now. So I mean, for me, it's like, I mean, I know myself. To know myself is to be myself, and that's just that's just what it
That's
is.
just it. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
I mean, it's exposure, especially when we're working with youth, is like I was exposed to just all the stuff, you know, and the tools, the mindfulness, the yoga have been very integral in my life, you know, today as I'm sitting here now.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you both again for all of your insight, your suggestions, just everything that you offered today. It is greatly appreciated. And so for now, if I want to introduce Charmaine, well, not introduce you, but just kind of cue you up for to close us out in a meditation exercise that you see fit for us.
Sure. Okay. So today, I feel what would make sense is to do a loving kindness or a metta meditation. So wherever you are, wherever you're landing in your space, you find a comfortable seat, erect spine, but relax, not forcing it too much. You can begin to settle the eyes to a soft gaze or close down the eyes. You can rest your palms face up as a signifying of receiving. Begin to call in attention to the breath without making any changes. Notice how it moves in your body. Is it expansive most in the chest? Are you feeling the belly? Can you feel the air passing through your nostrils? Then begin to bring the attention inwards to the heart. Notice the pulse, the rhythm of the beat of your heart. And as you begin to go into this internal journey, we'll begin to visualize yourself, perhaps as you are today, or if it's easier, as a younger version of yourself. We're going to begin some well wishes. Now see yourself visualize right in front of you, and there is a warm light right in front of you. And repeat these wishes to yourself. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. May I live my life with ease. And as you see these phrases, the warm light begins to shift down through your body into your heart space. And as you release the image of yourself, begin to call into your mind someone who you love deeply. See them in front of you. Begin to feel the essence of them around you. Once you have the image of them in the mind, have them sitting across from you, this warm ball of light is in between the two of you, repeating the same phrases. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from suffering. May you live your life with ease. And as these phrases are passed from your heart to theirs as well, begin to see this ball of light shifting between you and it landing in the heart space of your loved one. Notice any changes in the body. Maybe you're feeling a sense of warmth. Maybe a smile is coming to your mind. And as the image of this person fades away, begin to visualize someone with whom you've had difficulty with, and keep the same open heart that you had before. Visualize them in front of you, in between you, the ball of light, repeating the wishes to them as you did to yourself and as you did for your loved one. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from suffering. May you live your life with ease. And as you complete these phrases, the ball of light begins to gently shift towards their heart space. And as the image of them fades away, begin to call in the image of someone neutral, possibly a neighbor, maybe a colleague, a mentee, someone who's neutral, maybe someone from the grocery store. As you see them in front of you, the ball of light in between you, repeat the phrases, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be free from suffering, may you live your life with ease. Gradually, the ball of light shifts from your space to theirs, and they receive it wholeheartedly. Bringing your mind back to the breath, taking it internally, noticing if the breath has made any change. Begin to deepen the breath with the exhale. Inhaling even more air, sending it through the lungs. Observe your heart rate. And call into yourself all beings in the world. And may the phrase be, may all beings be held in loving kindness, metta. And collectively, we will take one breath through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Together we breathe. Inhale. Open it out. Let it go. As you begin to reorient yourself into the space, you may gently blink the eyes, lift the gaze. And take this ease with you as you go about your day. Passing it over to Jake.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Charmaine. That was really beautiful. I really loved that. I wish we could end right there. That would have been the perfect way to end, but now people have to listen to me yabber on about some additional resources very quickly, so that hopefully a lot of the peace and comfort that just brought, at least me, can stay on throughout your day. A few additional resources for you after our webinar today. Feel free to use this email to send any feedback or questions. Any other like more in-depth types of training, resources, public awareness, and advocacy, you can find your local affiliate by clicking on this link. You can also go to Mentor's website, mentoring.org. Affiliates are really amazing resources across the country that can, again, provide you more local and more in-depth assistance. Mentoring Connector, that's where you can submit your program to recruit mentors, again, across the country. It's a national database where other people also go and look for mentoring opportunities. And then last but not least, we have the National Mentoring Resource Center, a resource in partnership with the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, providing even more resources. And that's where you can apply for no-cost training and technical assistance. Remember, we do have a 3-ish minute long survey. It's completely anonymous, so let us know how we did. Let us know what you enjoyed, what we can improve on for these webinars in the future, what you'd like to see. And then in a few days, you'll receive an email with information on how to download all of the slides and recording and resources that we shared today. I'll make sure to include all of the links from the chat. Join us next month for our webinar, Mentoring LGBTQ+ Youth, an Urgent Need for Each of Us to Act. That will be part 2 of our Mentoring LGBTQ+ Youth series. So we've already had one in, I believe it was March. So feel free to go back and check that out on our website as well to get up to speed with this. But again, huge thank you to our panelists, Charmaine, Kiran, and Nishan, for this really meaningful and intentional conversation, along with, of course, the opening and closing exercises that you led. It was really, really amazing. And again, thank you to everybody who attended today. Just by attending, you just spent an hour and a half really focusing in on wellness, learning more about wellness. You got 10 minutes or so in of these wellness exercises. So be proud of yourselves for making the space for that today. And looking forward to finding ways to incorporate all these learnings throughout work and my own life. And so thank you all for being here. Please make sure to continue engaging with the collaborative mentoring webinar series in all of the ways that we listed. But otherwise, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Huge thank you for being here, and to our panelists, and take care.
Yeah, thank you all.
Awesome. Have a great one, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.